Holy shit. I literally just woke up and I came here because some shit just went down and I'm fucking terrified. It was probably a dream, but I don't know. Hear me out. It's a long story. Be me, 2 days ago. I wake up at 6 p.m. I decide to fix my sleeping schedule and pull an all-nighter. It's all good. I decide to watch some films and play some video games. It comes to about 1 a.m. and I decide to go for a walk and get some snacks from a supermarket, which is about 3 kilometers away. I live in a medium-sized city in Eastern Europe. From my place to the supermarket, it's like 1 kilometer of urban area, then 2 kilometers of woods with no buildings area. I always hated the woods part, because only like 1/3 of the walk has streetlights. I walk normally. There are no people around. It is very silent everywhere. It's actually quite relaxing. Then you hit the area with no streetlights. I take my smartphone and use a flashlight app because there is usually some shit on the walkway and it is dark as fuck. I am still quite relaxed because I have walked this path many times and it's quite heavily used road even in the nighttime. I reach the midpoint of the area with no streetlights. At this point I don't even think of the darkness. I am just minding my own business. Suddenly, a young guy comes out of the woods and asks me, "Why are you here?" He asked me this in my own language. I am sort of surprised because the guy came out of nowhere in the middle of nowhere and the question was absurd. I answer back to the guy, "I don't know. I'm going to the supermarket." At this point, the guy just looks at me, then starts to look at his shoes, like the way you would try and check if you stepped on dog shit. I just wonder what the fuck is this guy doing? What the fuck is going on? I say, "Okay, I think I'm gonna keep going." I kept on walking slowly until I'm like 50 meters away from the guy, and I check back and he is still standing there. He shouts at me, "You know you're supposed to be running." I just think that this guy is some fucker addict trolling me. The guy looked like an addict with his dirty clothes, pale skin, shitty teeth, and odd eyes. I don't mind his shouting and just keep walking normally. I hear some loud banging from the woods, like someone hitting metal with metal, and then crackings and people or something running from the forest. It sounded pretty terrifying, so I start to run also, because I ain't waiting for who's coming from the woods. I run back to the area where streetlights start again and catch my breath. I look back and nothing is there, back to silent. I walk to the supermarket and buy my snacks. I think about what happened in the walkway. I decide that it was probably just some addicts getting drunk or something in the woods. I pay for my shit. I walk out and second guess if I should walk the same path or go a longer path with streetlights. I decide to take a longer path. It's like 5 kilometers, but streetlights all the way. I walk normally to the halfway, and then I see the same junky looking guy running towards me from the alleyway. I stop and ask, "Who the fuck are you?" The guy stops running and says, "Nico, my name. How aren't you running?" I am just sort of confused and say, "What the fuck?" Guy says, "Look at the sky." I look up and see nothing there. The guy starts to run away back to the alleyway. I keep walking, but now I am pretty fucking scared. I think about why he said Nico. Maybe his name was Nico too. I keep wondering what the fuck is that guy the rest of the way. I get home and try to take my mind off it by playing video games and stuff. Suddenly, the doorbell rings at 3 a.m. I go to open the door. I check from the peephole who is there. It's my neighbor who's like an 80-year-old lady. I open the door and ask, "Can I help?" The old lady says some gibberish that I can't understand. I ask if I should call for help. The lady starts to repeat something like this, "Vos calico aratuma," just again and again. It means nothing in my language or any other that I know of. The old lady says then, "I can go to sleep now, I'm sorry." The old lady walks back to her apartment. I think that maybe she was sleepwalking, but considering all the weird shit that has happened tonight, I feel pretty afraid, but I try to keep on playing video games. Around 6 a.m., I get a call from someone. I can't see from who. I can't answer it because my phone lags and I have to restart it. I check the log and no one has called. I start to overthink the situation. I decide to take a shower, and once I'm out I start to watch a movie. I get my snacks from the fridge. I start to chill. Again, there is someone at the door. It's the junky looking guy. I see him clearly now. He looks incredibly malnourished. I am too scared to open the door. I scream, "What?" The guy is still standing behind my door, not saying anything. He bangs my door a few times and shouts, "Just open the door, Nico." I ask who he is. "You should know me, friend." "No, I don't." The junkie guy walks away. I am literally terrified. I have never seen that guy before today. How the fuck did he find me? He knows my name. I can't focus on anything anymore. I keep checking the windows. My phone starts to ring again, but I can't answer it because it lags again. I restart the phone again, and it says that no one has called. Hours pass by. It's now 11 a.m. I am still fucking confused and afraid, but I am back to playing video games. I hear mail dropping from the door. I go to check the mail. Some bills and some advertisements. Then there is a handwritten envelope. I open it up. 2 sentences in the letter. "We hear you out. Doesn't matter. You have a hole in your head." Again, I get fucking scared and terrified. What is this fucking madness? Tired as fuck. Can't go to sleep yet, and too scared to do so anyways. Hours pass. It's now around 3 p.m. I get another phone call. I answer, and by the sound of it, it's the junky looking guy. "Hello? What is your address, friend, and where are you going?" I just yell, "Who the fuck are you?" The guy hangs up. I think that this must be some sort of fucking trolling or that I'm crazy. I start to lose it. I am constantly paranoid. Hours pass and nothing really happens. Around 9 p.m. I fell asleep. I wake up at 4 a.m. I have a nightmare where I see this junky looking guy sitting at my PC. He tells me to come and check something out. I go and watch. He types into Google, "Come Aroxa," and then some numbers. I can't remember anymore. I tried to Google this too, but found nothing because I'm paranoid as fuck now. A video comes up. It's me as a child. It's a creepy ass old video. I have a hole in my head. There is other kids, also with holes in their heads. The holes are so big that I don't even have eyes. I'm just moving or something. There are some adults saying something like, "Look what he's doing now." I wake up from the nightmare, literally sweating and terrified. I see just flashes of me as a child, having a hole the size of a fist in my head. Literally the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. This nightmare happened a few hours ago. I'm quite a terrible writer, and my English is not perfect. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but so far, nothing has happened this morning. I'm still terrified. I tried to Google what he typed like 50 times. I'm not sure what it was. It was just like that in my dream. I found nothing. There were numbers also. I don't know if I'm becoming crazy. I just literally came to X and saw this thread, and decided to write this one out. I don't usually look here, but this is the first X thing that has happened to me, and I don't know what I should do. Was it even real, or what the fuck? I still have the letter, but I don't see the phone calls on my phone. I am fucking scared. I will be the first to say that all of this stuff could have taken place in my head. The mind is a freaky thing and can play some pretty trippy tricks on you. Sorry for the length. Whenever I was scared as a kid, my dad had always told me that in my life you should not be scared of ghosts. Fear the living, because they can actually hurt you. In my late teenage years I came into some money after my father took his own life, and I received an inheritance from him. At the time of my dad's passing, he and my mom owned a cabin up in Oregon by Mount Bachelor. The cabin had been put up for sale since my mom could no longer afford the payments, and renting it out was not covering the payments either. The cabin was set to go on the market for sale in less than a month, and was in the process of finalizing all of the paperwork with the realtor and the lawyer. So, for that month's time, the cabin was not going to be rented out any longer, and was going to be vacant. I saw this as a chance to get away for a while, and clear my head in light of all of the things going on. I quit work, packed up my snowboarding gear, grabbed my dog, and headed up in my dad's car that he had willed to me, to the cabin. Now, this was our family cabin that my parents rented out throughout the year when we were not using it. I had keys to the cabin, and also had the code for the alarms, so I did not feel the need to stop at the rental management company and advise them of my stay. This has nothing to do with the coming story, but felt the need to mention it anyway. My first 2 days at the cabin were normal, and nothing out of the usual happened. I spent my days playing with my dog in the snow, snowboarding, and the evenings playing PlayStation or listening to music, drinking, and smoking out on the balcony. I had already stocked up on food, cigarettes, and liquor, so I was pretty much a shut-in, aside from the occasional outing to hit the slopes. With my dog as company, and DVDs and PlayStation as entertainment, I was quite content, and started to feel relaxed after all of the drama that had preceded my outing. The cabin itself was 2 stories. Bottom story had the living room and a side guest bedroom, along with a small kitchen. The upstairs had another 2 rooms, along with a walkout balcony attached to the master bedroom. Most of my time there was spent either in the living room, kitchen, or master bedroom. I never ventured into the other rooms, and always kept the doors leading into them shut. Open doors to dark rooms always creeped me out. Anywho, the 3rd day came around, and I was going through my usual routine of playing with my dog. His name was Midnight, by the way, and he is also since passed. Playing games and watching DVDs. That day it was pretty heavy snowfall, so I did not feel like trekking down the hill to the main road in my car, and decided to just stay in. That's when things started getting a bit weird. In our area, there were only 2 other cabins adjacent to ours, maybe a block away from each other. All other cabins aside from these 2 were around a mile away from ours. Surrounding us was mostly forest and very tall pine trees. Tall. This is important later on. Both of these cabins were empty, and from the past couple of days, I knew that no one was currently staying there. I gave enough background, and I'm going to jump into the weirdness. Around midday, while I was outside with my dog, I noticed what looked like footprints in the snow around the area surrounding our cabin. It was still snowing, so the footprints looked semi-fresh, like someone had been there in the last 20 to 30 minutes before me. I thought that maybe someone was staying in the cabin near me that I may not have noticed. Maybe they were shut-ins like me. Alright, whatever. The prints lead away from my cabin, and they disappeared in the snow towards the denser part of the trees. I disregarded the footprints and went back inside. Nighttime came around, and I decided to head to bed. My dog Midnight was laying on the bed with me when I noticed his ears perk up to a standstill / listening position. This was followed by him quickly jumping off of the bed and running downstairs to the living room. I lay in the bed and stayed silent. I was kinda freaked out and could hear him moving around downstairs back and forth. After around 5 minutes, he ran back upstairs to me and started to do his doggy dance for the sign that he had to pee or that he wanted to go outside. Shit. Well, fine. I can't say no to him, so we both went downstairs to the outside driveway for him to do his thing. Only, he did not want to pee. As soon as we were outside, he started to pull on his leash, trying to drag me to where he wanted to go. He kept looking into the dense part of the trees where the prints had been earlier, but he also kept sniffing to the side of the house and looking up towards the roof. After he figured out that maybe I was not going to go where he wanted, he sat himself down and just stared into the darkness. A bit unusual for him, but alright. Maybe there are forest animals out there that he wants to chase down. But fuck this. I did not want to chance anything, so I pulled him back inside, and we both headed back upstairs. Around half an hour later, I was lying in bed, when I heard what sounded like hooves walking on my roof. It was only a series of around 6 steps, and I rationalized that it could be a pine cone falling from a tree onto the roof, or maybe a kind-hearted forest animal running around. But here's the thing. The steps seemed to be spaced apart, like a man-length stride, so it was really freaking me out. Midnight also heard the noise, and was quick to run to the balcony screen door, expecting for me to let him out. Alright, you know what? I'm a tough guy, and at the time, I considered myself to be fairly well built, and strong enough to handle myself, so I grabbed my coat and shoes, along with my cigarettes and flashlight, and went out to the balcony. Fuck it, right? As soon as I was outside, I lit up my cigarette, and started canvassing the roof with my light. Nothing there, and the snow on top was undisturbed. Weird. Must have been all in my head. What about Midnight hearing the noise? Maybe he was feeding off of my fear or paranoia. I started to calm down and relax again. By the way, I am shaking right now, and my heart is beating hard as I am typing this next bit. My eyes started to adjust to the darkness, and I kept smoking and just staring at the stars and trees next to our cabin, That's when I saw it. In a tree that was a little taller than our cabin and around 20 feet away from the balcony, I saw what looked like a man crouched in a squatting position in between two branches. It was squatted on one branch, and its arms were extended above its head, holding onto the branch above it. Fuck me. What the fuck is that? I wasn't sure if I was really seeing this thing, and stood just staring and sat there motionless. I noticed Midnight stand up and start pacing behind me and lightly barking at the same time. The thing still did not move. I pulled my cigarette out and was debating on shining the light in the thing's direction, but something in my head just kept on screaming not to. So I walked backwards to the inside of the room and pulled Midnight with me. Once inside, I locked the door and shined the light in the thing's direction, but there was nothing there. I shut the curtains to the screen door and retreated back to bed, but later on in the night, I heard light tapping at the screen door, like someone was tapping on the glass with their fingers. It was consistent and did not stop for nearly an hour. Midnight seemed to stare at the door, but he would not go near it anymore. The weirdest part was that I had a feeling like someone was inviting me to open the door, but at the same time, I kept hearing my dad's voice in my head telling me to stay in bed and not do it. I listened to my dad's voice and just stayed where I was. I passed out eventually and woke up in the morning and everything was normal. The rest of the week that I spent there was non-eventful and nothing else out of the ordinary happened. I totally admit that it could have been all in my head. A lot of stuff was going on at that time, so I was pretty fucked up from all of the drama. Whatever it was, I think it's either dead or long gone. Be me. I am living in a rural area next to a heavy marsh. There is a great horned owl that's been hooting the previous 2 nights. No owl. I am getting ready to go to sleep. My cat is napping on the chair. I'm about to get up and turn out the light when I heard the sound of something dragging across my house's wall. My house is covered in corrugated wood paneling. It's a very distinct clacking. I freeze in place. My cat is frozen, watching the window. I can't see outside, but the window is open. I can hear mulch and shit crunching outside. I wait for it to subside, and then I shut the window. As soon as the window is shut, the sounds resume in earnest. I fiddle around on my computer for a time, watching the window as I do so. The computer hangs for no reason. It is the only light in the room. I turn on light before force rebooting. I then turn off the light when the computer is fully rebooted. After an hour, I turn off my computer and go to bed. My cat has noped to another dimension. Why can cats do that? I am alone in my room, complete darkness. I continually keep hearing a faint whisper. Open the window. I eventually fall asleep. I wake up and investigate the side of my house. I find a perfectly smooth black stone sitting in the middle of a cinder block, right in front of my window. There are no black rocks like that for at least 30 miles. Nope. Later in the day, I hear a few shots of a shotgun in my neighbor's forest. I worked as a 911 dispatcher for around 15 years. Even after all of that time, there was one call that stuck with me. I have not spoken a word about it in years, because when I do, I hear that screaming again. It was late evening. I remember that the sun had already gone down. We'd all surprisingly had a quiet shift that night. It was mostly just welfare checks, and I think a jackknife truck out on 41. None of us were expecting anything major. When the call came in, the panic in her voice hit me first. Just, he's on the floor and my husband, he won't move. I got her to slow down and ask those usual questions. Things like address, name, age, is he breathing, does he respond when you shake him? She was talking over herself. Her voice was climbing in pitch with every breath. In the background, I could hear a bunch of other voices. Kids or grandkids maybe, all shouting and crying. It took a while, but I finally pieced together the basics of what was going on. They'd been eating dinner when the man had suddenly gone stiff and slumped over sideways. She thought it was a seizure, but I was almost certain it was a stroke. They were calling from this tiny rural town with one volunteer ambulance that had to cover maybe 25 square miles of dirt roads and farmland all to itself. I knew before I even logged the call that help was not going to get there fast enough. I told her an ambulance was on the way, but it was coming from the next county over. They are driving as fast as they can, ma'am, I said, but it could take at least 45 minutes, maybe more. There was a pause, and then she said, he's not going to make it that long. I did not know what to say in response because, well, I agreed. She handed the phone off to somebody else, a younger voice, a woman. You have to help us, she said. What do we do to help him? I pulled up all of the stroke protocols and started reading them off to them. None of it was going to make a damn difference. From there, the call devolved into pure chaos. More people came on the line, and I couldn't tell if this was a big family gathering or if they all actually lived there. They were crowding around the old man. One guy in the background just kept yelling, Dad, hey, Dad, Dad, can you hear me? Over and over. When he didn't get a response, he just started shouting at me. Where the hell are they? Why is this taking so long? He's dying, man. I tried to keep the conversation calm and on track, but they were quickly falling apart. It was 6 or 7 people unraveling at the seams. He's twitching, somebody said. Is that a seizure? He's foaming up. Stay calm, I said. That could just be part of the stroke. Just make sure he's breathing and there is nothing in his mouth. Keep his airway clear. He's not moving. Is he breathing? I don't know. Check his chest. Put your hand near his nose. Then the mom is crying again. She says, he's already gone. Nobody answered me for a long time. Instead, somebody else grabbed the phone. You're just gonna sit there and do fucking nothing, huh? Sir, I have already dispatched EMS and contacted the county fire for backup. That's it. That's all you can do. I can guide you through CPR if he is not breathing. The man on the other line did not respond. I could hear a woman crying in the background. Sir, I said, please listen to me. I know this is a horrible moment, but I need you to focus. If you can keep him stable. You don't give a shit, do you? You don't even care. You're just waiting for him to die so you can check a box and then move on to the next call, am I right? No, sir, that is not true. Yeah? Well, why the fuck is somebody not here then? And then I heard it. A crash, a door slamming, something heavy falling over. What was that? I asked, and I got no response. Sir, are you still there? I could hear somebody yelling in the background. Just noise. Just raw, throat-ripping panic. A woman screamed a name over and over. Eddie, Eddie, please, don't. Get the gun out of his hand. Another voice shouted, Jesus Christ, Eddie. And then came a sound that you can't mistake once you've heard it. A single, thunderous pop. Close range, no echo, just bang, like a firework going off in a closet. I thought it was chaos before, but now it was pure chaos. Screaming, wailing, sobbing. One voice shouted, oh shit, he did it. Oh my god, he did it. Over and over. I could hear somebody gagging and somebody else stumbling into furniture. A baby was crying in the distance. Is anybody hurt? I finally asked. Then a woman came on the line. She was sobbing so hard her words were barely even formed. Eddie shot himself in the kitchen, in front of his mama, in front of everybody. Is anybody else injured? No, just him. He saw his daddy dying and he lost it. I updated the log and changed it from medical emergency to gunshot wound, self-inflicted. I requested a second ambulance and routed the nearest sheriff's unit. I flagged it, priority 1. Not that it mattered. There's nothing left to save now. Back on the line, the family was still screaming. That call lasted a full 23 minutes. I did not hang up until the first responders arrived, and I listened to them, tried to keep the father alive. I heard them rolling him onto a stretcher, while another team covered the son's body with a sheet. The dispatcher on the radio gave me a quick update. The son was deceased on the scene. The father had a weak pulse, but they did not think they could make it to the hospital. They confirmed it the next morning. The father had passed en route to the hospital, and the son was gone on arrival. 2 dead, one right after the other. I guess I'll go since the thread has slowed down. I got 2 stories for you guys. Be me. I was 14 years old at the time this happened. I've been volunteering at a local museum so I can graduate high school. The museum is an old marble building on a historic street corner in downtown Hagerstown. The building is at least as old as the city, early 1800s. There are huge, 2-ton vaults on the main and subfloors. Apparently, it used to be a bank. There is an elevator that stops on all floors. It gets used often because the owner is frail. My shift starts at 8 AM and goes to 5 PM when the museum closes. My job is basically janitorial in nature. I start in the Japanese exhibit and clean the glass. I go to the back, Titanic exhibit, clean the glass. I am the resident glass hole. Nothing too spoopy about the place. I love the ship exhibit. I am kind of put off by the upstairs exhibits because of all of the dark, unlit corners. It's only tolerable because there is televisions up there 24/7. I cannot stand the downstairs for shit. It's dark and humid and there are roaches everywhere. Assorted curios gather inches of dust, sitting there for years. The carpet has not been replaced since the building was built. Freaky shit. So, here is my first tale for you. The owner of the museum actually rents the place from some megalo corporation. Pays a lease on it every month. The museum barely earns enough to cover the bills. At least one light is always out because of the stretched budget. The owners will actually take the light bulbs out of the socket in her house to replace the ones at the museum. Fast forward to date of the spook. The light goes out in the party room upstairs. Customer comes down complaining that his child is sitting in the dark on his birthday. The owner says she will deal with it. By that, I guess she meant she will find someone to deal with it. She turns to me as I walk by. Anon, come here a moment. Drop the cleaner here with me. Now, go downstairs and fetch a 60-watt out of the box in the back vault. Bring it to the birthday room upstairs, please. I bitch like a 14-year-old, because I am. She scolds me, and tells me I'm only making it harder on myself, whatever the fuck that means. I bitch that she should have kept the box upstairs, behind the register. Now, for those of us who have never been in an old vault, let me explain a few things. The vault was not simply the huge-ass circular door that we have all seen in cartoons. It's a huge-ass circular door, which leads into a bare concrete room. After this room, there is another room, ceiling as high as all 3 fucking stories to this building, with every inch lined with cold metal account boxes, and it is pitch black back there. Although electricity existed back then, no electric leads were placed in the vault to reduce chance of fire destroying the notes. That means that the only light we had down there came from a harsh, omnidirectional battery-powered floodlight in the corner of the room. Long, long shadows were cast by this floodlight. I take the elevator down because I am fat as fuck. I make my way back into the vault. A harsh, blue-white light makes my shadow dance like a 50-foot man. My thoughts run wild. I tiptoe to the back, stealthier than a ninja. We don't have those lights in the Japanese exhibit. I open the box of lights when I feel a cold air brush over my wrists. I just freeze there, hands not moving, and my hair standing straight up. Suddenly, something clamps down on my fingers, like someone is trying to shake my hand. I don't even reach into the box. I just grab the whole damn container and bolt. I hop over several boxes, running straight into the floodlight's beam. My eyes are on fucking fire. I make it out of the concrete vault and into the main room with the carpet. Warm, natural light from the ceiling now. I don't give a fuck if I'm still downstairs. I drop the box and breathe. I'm standing there for a whole fucking minute. I am staring into the dark abyss behind me to make sure that nothing followed me out. I take one last deep breath. I stretch out my back. I bend over to pick up the box, and I hear the elevator begin to move. It sounds like it's coming down from the top floor, where the party is. The owner must be doing damage control, and now she's checking up on me. I walk over to the shaft door with the box and wait. The elevator chimes, and the light glows bright. The door opens, and my heart just fucking climbs into my mouth. The light is off inside the elevator, and just when the door opens full wide, a huge gust of cold as fuck air blows past me. I don't even get in the elevator. I nope the fuck up the stairs. I bolt over 2 flights to get to the party room. I change the light bulb and quit early and walk home. I never use that elevator ever again. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed the stories. The goal for the channel is 100k, so please subscribe, like, and leave a comment because it really helps the channel. Thank you for watching.